And we are officially in Christmas holiday spirits. If you celebrate Christmas, there's different religious celebrations this month, so I honor all of them. And I was writing the article Seeker and the Storyteller, and a lot of different examples in my life came up, and I started seeing more and more of how I was the seeker, and I still am so curious, and how the procrastinator comes in and kind of sabotages my quest that I'm on. And that could be signing up for multiple courses at one time, or signing up for courses and not completing them, and then signing up for another one. So there's the shadow side of everything. There's always the light and the shadow, for sure. And I was talking to some friends of mine who are also in the healing arts realm, and we were discussing how so many people don't want to dive deep into the shadows. They don't want to do the heavy work. And I thought a lot about that, because when I started understanding the power of the shadow work, and that it is work, and so many great authors out there will tell you, this is not a path for people who are not ready for it. And I do believe that there is a preparation within your timeline on this earth in this time. And that is the preparation time for it, kind of testing you to see if you're ready to continue on with the journey. And I can tell you, I wasn't there. I mean, I would seek, I would be so curious and deep into meditation and yoga and just life, but there was just still something else that I felt like I was lacking. And I found more of healing once I came to terms with the shadow part. Meaning, example, you're taking these, let's say you're taking an online course, and you're like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for a change. I'm going to do everything this course asks me to do. Or you go on a retreat and you're like, I'm ready to change my life. It could be anything in the context of like transformation. And then you get into the course or the retreat and you feel so jazzed and you're going through all these emotions. And then all of a sudden the saboteur comes up and says, okay, well, that was fun. It's time to get back to the real world. And you get back to the real world, and all this illumination that happened through this short timeline kind of dissipates because you stop doing the work. So in this context, the shadow of the saboteur is showing you, hey, do you want to go back to your familiar life, to where it's not really working for you, maybe short term, but you're still going to have the questions, you're still going to have these doubts and feelings of lack, or are you going to walk through the storms? And I want to remind you on my personal journey, and for all days following this, that the storms will continue to come. The difference is when you start unpacking what's been holding you back, or what's allowing you to dive deep into these emotions that don't really serve you or benefit you at all, you'll see that every time that the clouds start to form, you see the elements are changing. You see things are just not feeling right. So you see, okay, a storm is about to brew. And you don't know if it's just a little storm that's going to pass, if it's like a hurricane, if it's a tornado, you don't know. But it's important to prepare. And prepare to the point that no matter what storm hits, that you've prepared and your foundation is so solid that the fear dissipates. That's the difference. And that's one of the many examples that I could share with you of how important it is to be aware of what we call the shadow archetypes. And so in the seeker part of the seeker and the storyteller, it's someone who is quests for knowledge. It could be that, yes. But it could also be a part of yourself that is seeking because you don't want to face the truth of where you really need to step back and look at your life. So you'll hide yourself. It's almost like you just keep telling yourself, oh, there's something else, there's something else. Oh, I'll do this. And then you keep diverting where the attention needs to be, and that means to go inside. And then you have the storyteller. And the storyteller, the light side, is it's going to allow you the space to be the observer, which is a great place to be, and the observer of the shadow part where it's telling you perhaps the stories that keeps you comfortable. Maybe you feel safe in this story you've told, or you hold on to a story for probably way too long. So those are just different examples. And I wanted to share with you, I went to a yoga class this morning, and I am certified to teach. I haven't taught in a long time, but I do consider myself a yogi, and I live the art of yoga, which is more than asanas. But in this class, I always go a little early and I warm up. And I thought to myself, just 5 minutes, Christina, just 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, I did like 3 different asanas and put the intention of just breathing and focusing on these 3 different positions. And within 5 minutes, I was just so grounded and so at peace. And on top of it, the instructor in the class itself was just yummy and beautiful and just so relaxing. And it's important just to have a reminder of, if we could just slow down and relax, the answers will come. They really will. And it could come to you in a simple form, or it may take a little bit longer. For me, there's a thing called I call it the dark forest, but a lot of people call it the dark night of the soul. And for me, it has lasted for about 7 years. 7 years. And as I was doing the work, this type of work, the work that's really made a big difference, or not that it's different, but that I was ready for it. Everything was in preparation for me to be ready to hear and to step into it. And I thought, wow, 7 years. And you could say, oh my God, that was wasted, or oh goodness, you're getting older, your time is limited. Well, it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old. You don't know your timeline in this lifetime. You just don't know. So to say that it's limited is limiting. So I'm really being mindful of how I speak to myself. And I wanted to just remind you of how you speak to yourself on a daily basis. And that you don't have to embark on this great quest of liberation with the understanding or the want that you're going to, liberate yourself in one lifetime. You may, and that would be great. but it's truly about unpacking the different parts of yourself, because we are multisensory. Carolyn May says it all the time. So many other people say it in many different ways. We are multisensory, you know, the 3D. I mean, some people go beyond, and I won't speak to that. I just know my own experience. I know that we are much more than our physical body. That I can say with conviction. If you're here and it resonates with you, then great. If it doesn't, then I have done my part in planting a seed of awareness and information and wisdom, that it may not germinate for a long time. And that goes back to a lot of this self-discovery too. How many times have you picked up a book, read a little bit, was inspired by the author, and then pack it away? And then pick it up again a few years later and think, wow, that's interesting. I see it differently now. And then put it away. And then years later, you pick it up again and you're like, this makes sense. I'm ready to hear it in its completion. And so that to me is just another example of the journey. And so I'm going to bring more of these videos to you. I have a couple of people that I'm going to interview so we can bounce off with a little healing arts. This is important to me to get my voice out. Sometimes I really have so much to say that unless I had like notes here to read from you, I just feel like I would be lost. So the next time I'm actually probably going to have like notes and read things, because these people who do podcasts, to which I don't know if I'll do a podcast, but these are just little journaling videos just to keep in touch with you. I want to do breath work, like just take a moment and do 60 seconds of just focusing on the breath. We're going into the holiday season, and whether you're celebrating this holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, and many, many more, you may or may not be with family. And your biological family may not be close, but you may have another community that you can celebrate with. For me, I have liberated myself from the stresses of holiday shopping. My family and I have like this understanding of presents and no presents. We literally haven't brought each other presents in a long time, but that doesn't mean that we don't share a beautiful time together and just being with one another and loving one another. And that's our gift to each other, just being able to take time out of our busy schedules and all come together in one state and celebrate our lineage with one another. I just wanted to say that I think that this journey that we're on, that's called Life on Earth, is absolutely the most fantastic journey. And it's sometimes you look back and you're like, wow. I mean, sometimes it makes no sense. And sometimes it's just amazing, because and I'll continue on with timelines, because I love timelines. And I think when you have some sort of structure, it can make a little bit more sense. You know, people talk about being in the now and the future and the past. And I do believe, and there's people who have researched this, but it really goes back to how does it feel in your body? Is everything is happening simultaneously. The past is within your body. The body keeps a score, so there's your past. The present is always there. And then you have this future projection. And we'll talk about like the fear. And that's such a good, the false awareness, feeling real. It's just, fear is your biggest nemesis, and it can debilitate you, and it can keep you trapped, actually. And so I really had to work through a lot of fear to even just get in front of this camera and speak to you. Because I had scripts, and I was thinking so many things I wanted to say, and then the camera goes on and I do my little test, and I'm like, I'm just going to speak and see what comes out. It's just about being present, stepping into it. The divine is expressing through all of us. And I no longer want to deny that expression. I have wisdom to share from the great, great teachers that I was very honored to study with and study about, and then to integrate it into my life. And then the 7-year dark night of the soul is absolutely, when I look back now, I'm like, wow. And so if someone like me can walk through those storms and still have love and compassion for themselves, learning so every day to trust. Trust has been a huge, huge factor for me. Not only trusting myself, but trusting my intuition, trusting the guidance, trusting that I am provided for, trusting that the abundance is already here, trusting that no matter what daggers or hate or disdain that comes at me, that I'm still worthy, and that I still am part of this beautiful ecosystem, and that it is just one planet. It really is. I mean, sometimes the mind bender for me is I'll sit here and I'll think, wow, this moment is happening, but in this moment, there's 8 billion other people's lives happening at the same time. Sit with that for a minute. I mean, we orbit our lives around ourselves, and it's so important to step out, or really actually go within and be the observer. Be the observer of your life. Tap into that. So next week, Sunday, I am sending out an article about the saboteur. Saboteur has been this archetype who we all have the top 4 archetypes, but this one, she likes to rear her head quite a bit. And I'm learning to navigate this one quite well lately. So I'm happy about that. So thank you so much for taking another time. If you got to the end, thank you. Next week, we will be talking about the archetype, the saboteur. And I'm also going to add that we have 5 minutes of breath work at the end. I want to share with you other healing arts that I do, and that has integrated into, if I didn't have the understanding or the curiosity to seek what's been calling me, and it's always been like breath, nature, the body, embodiment, food, nutrition. When I don't feel well and I'm having moments, if I can go outside and take a walk, it's like the best thing ever. Just connecting with nature in that form. It's so important to me. It changes everything for me. I don't have to talk to anybody. I just can just be with the creation. And it's just the most amazing thing. And I know it's getting cold outside, so a lot of people can't really just go out and walk, but you can. We have thermal underwear. You can. You can figure it out. But thank you for staying with me. I'm praying every day and I'm meditating that this gets a little bit more refined. But until then, this is a progress for me, and it takes a lot of courage, and this is part of my healing and my journey. So thank you so much for having tea with me, and stay warm, stay strong, know that you're loved, and learn to trust yourself. Let that be a new, to affirm that you do trust, or affirm that I am learning to trust. Like, be honest with that. Be honest that, hey, I'm learning to trust because I don't trust, or I have issues with trusting. And write it down. Be honest. The first step is to be honest with yourself, like really brutally honest. You don't ever have to say it out loud. You don't have to be brutally honest with your partner or friends and family. But I really feel, and I want to convey to you, that honesty, the brutal honesty, the work is to with yourself. I mean, literally just say, I am learning to trust myself. You know, I don't trust X, Y, and Z, but I want to. I want to trust. I will trust, and I'm learning to trust. And see what happens. Just see what happens. And then take 5 minutes and get into the body. Because I'll tell you, she has the answers. She really does. So to your health, to your soul, to the rest of the week, may you know love, may you be courageous, and you have a voice. So say